Close out the week. It's Friday. Real Kyper and Bourne Show, Leaf Edition. On this Friday, we are live on Sportsnet 590, The Fan, and Sportsnet Plus. Currently coming off American Thanksgiving. 9 games right now currently. Do I have that right? 9 and 1 already in the books with the Philadelphia Flyers and the New York Rangers.
Rangers stink.
3-1 losers to the Philadelphia Flyers, and it could have been a lot uglier if it wasn't for a goalie named Shesterkin.
Yeah, it's funny because fans and the organization, when it was 12-6 and whatever, 12-6 and 1, we're all panicked, and I was sitting here like, what is happening? And they saw something we didn't see. That team is not playing good hockey. Yeesh.
In the meantime, I'm Nick Kypreos. He's Justin Bourne. He's Sammy McKee. Who else we got? We got Auston McKee.
Yeah.
Where's he from? Like, he just drops in our lap?
Yeah, he's a grinder. He does everything around here. So I don't know where Derek didn't text me. He didn't text me. He didn't tell me he wasn't coming in today.
That's okay.
Just goes to the boys.
Austin's old hat.
Yeah, he's good. He's got it under control.
Not a worry in the world with Auston McKee and Jake the Snake Schultz.
Yeah.
So it's a Friday, which means an off day for the Toronto Maple Leafs as they gear up for Hockey Night in Canada matchup with the Tampa Bay Lightning. Their second game in the state of Florida. Good news, right?
Oh, yeah.
Certain players coming back. Auston Matthews, Matthew Knies.
But you lose another one with McMahon going out. So if 2 come back, one has to go.
Who needs McMahon when you have Pontus Holmberg?
Yeah. Doesn't sound like it's serious for
He's going to miss
McMahon.
a couple games, maybe.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Holmberg is going to take his spot on the Tavares and Marner line. So you got Holmberg, Tavares, Marner, and then Knies, Matthews, William Nylander. I specify William because it's not Alex.
We have been spending a lot of time, we were mentioning this off air, talking about a team that doesn't play hockey. They have been on the English Premier League schedule where they play once, maybe twice a week here for the last 3. And, it's going to be really interesting to see because they've been able to get by with the Marlies here. Yeah. Like they've been able to get by with some soft competition and them, not having all their guys. But that's about to change. They're about to start playing hockey every other night for a full month. Be really interesting to see how they handle it. You get Matthews back, you get Knies back, but you're
really
still
good time, right?
Still, your bottom 6 is not pretty.
Right now, go ahead, Ken.
No, you go ahead.
The bottom 6, third line is looking like Robertson, Minton, Lorentz, and Steves, Dewar, Grabenkin.
Okay.
All right, before we get into some sound bites through a few Kyper Clippers, including Auston Matthews on his return, where do you sum up tomorrow night in terms of the importance, should I say, of a win more so than a good effort? Because they have been able to make some strides in the Atlantic. Even with the loss, they're still there in the first place in the division. But does losing to Florida and then losing to Tampa on Saturday night sour you a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, not on anything so much as not good. I think it's been hard to get a read for what this team is. What's been so impressive is how well the call-ups have played to put them in a position to be in games. And then Marner has been fantastic to kind of get them over the hump in a lot of different states. So they've been getting points, but it's been tough to assess the team here. Yeah. Like, I don't know that my opinion on this team has changed a whole lot. Is there enough guys back with Knies and Matthews, their first games back in a long time, with that weak bottom 6 to say this team is anything? I don't know. I don't know if what do you think? Is it fair to make an assessment on the team?
I put more value in trying to find a way to win Tampa. A split's okay for me. Losing two teams that you really like to send a message to, and I get it that you're not full in Florida. And could Matthews have played? Could he not? whether it was his decision or the team's decision or both or one or the, it doesn't matter. You saved him because you think he was going to be that much stronger. Well, okay, then it has to show as early as tomorrow night for me.
No, I totally agree. I love matchups with Tampa. I really have enjoyed the games that the Leafs have played against them over the past few years. 2 really good playoff series. The one where the Leafs actually won a playoff series. So I do have good memories.
Huzzah!
I do have good memories watching games in that building. I like the matchup. They have good players that I don't like, and I just think it's a good, fun matchup. But yeah, like they're not far behind the Leafs in the, like we talked about the Florida Panthers being right behind the Leafs in the Atlantic Division and that being a big test. What are the Lightning? They're not far behind them at all.
Lightning lead the division in goal differential, and if they were to win tomorrow night, they would have a game in hand and be 2 points behind the Leafs.
So there you go. This is another really big test down in Florida. And I would say that it kind of sucks that at least maybe 2 biggest rivals are Florida teams. It's not my biggest cup of tea, favorite thing. Boston this year, maybe you could talk about it. But these 2 teams really seem to be the biggest ones outside of Boston. So it's a big one. And I totally agree. If Matthews is not going to play on Wednesday, and you can talk whatever you want to talk, I think saving him for a couple more nights, you need him to step up and be big tomorrow. That's it.
All right, let's go to Auston Matthews, the captain of the Toronto Maple Leafs, on his return.
Pretty good. It's nice to get another team practice and work in those drills. And like I said the other day, just the competitive aspect of battling and stuff like that. So, in my mind, I'm playing tomorrow and excited to be back.
All right, and then he's got
in his mind. In his mind, he's ready to go.
I think that kind of implies, he doesn't have the final say if someone tells him he's not.
Okay.
But yeah, let's.
Should we tee this up a little bit? Because there's a story yesterday in the Toronto Sun about Auston Matthews' trip to Germany by Steve Simmons, where they're talking about the nature of the trip and the secrecy of the trip and all this stuff. Mm-hmm. And I think it was maybe McGran I couldn't quite make out the voice that asked him about sort of the secrecy of his injury and his thoughts on it. And he replied with this clip. Clip 2, please, Auston.
I don't think there's really any secrecy. I don't think we did anything outside of the rules of providing information to you guys in the NHL. So I think it just gets a little bit blown out of proportion with, the marketplace and you guys being a little bit nosy. But in my mind, we haven't done anything secrecy. I think it's my choice whether or not I want to share the extent of injury. And, you look around the league, lower body injury, upper body injury on every single team. So I think it's just been made out to be a bigger deal than it is. And I don't really care. It's up for you guys to talk about it and do your thing. But, in the end, I'm just going to focus on myself and focus on the team and being the best that I can.
He makes all valid points here. There is an overall feeling around the league where everybody's on a need-to-know basis, and the league says you guys don't ever need to know, and that's the extent of it. So the secrecy has been there for a very long time. He's just playing that.
Yeah, but
does it need to stop?
Well, it's just if you don't want it to be a big deal, if only there was some way to make it not a big deal. You just tell people what's going on. The guy who gets paid the most on the team has a serious injury. He's going to be, it's his back, it's his whatever. He'll be back shortly. And then people don't have to spend time digging through waste bins to try to figure out what's going on.
Which is what they're doing.
Yeah, well, of course. Right? There's an information vacuum. I've been saying the same thing all week. Yeah. You leave a vacuum, people fill it with crap. So I don't know.
Yeah, I know. And I've been on both sides now, this side for 20 plus years. I get the thirst and the hunger and writing something that 40 other people are not, or getting to it first, or all of it. I get it. But, where are we now in the world of gambling? We want their money, but we're not going to tell you if they're playing or not, or if they're hiding an injury or not. It's a different world now with gambling.
To me, it's naive. It's it's only a big deal because of the market. But it's you're in this market. You know this market.
That's exactly it.
It's not a surprise.
Yeah, you look around the league. It's upper body, lower body is what he says. It's look where you are. Don't look around the league because you're in Toronto. Sure, it's not going to matter if it's Carolina.
You're one of the highest profile names in the game.
in the league.
Yes.
Like when I listen to podcasts in the States and they do advertising for Amazon, they'll say, Monday Night Hockey with McDavid, Matthews, Crosby. It's like you are in the first sentence when they're promoting the whole league.
Right.
It's a different story with you, man.
And to be honest,
it is.
Where JT Miller is not as big a name, and it's a much more sensitive issue. And we spent 20 minutes yesterday talking around the edges of it because it's interesting. People want to know. I don't know.
Well,
sorry, God forbid we're nosy.
No.
About the biggest, about one of the biggest superstars in the league that has a mystery injury. He flies to Germany.
He is downplaying,
God forbid,
how big of a story it is when you're in an organization that has the staff, including the medical staff of a small country, but none of them are good enough to help you get better. You need to go overseas. That's a story.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
That's a big story.
Yep.
So I have no issue with what they did. I have no issue, unlike other people I've talked to, with taking the extra time at a
time. Are you
looking
at me?
I am. And taking the time with a very soft schedule for the Leafs, use that whole time and then get back for the busy part. No problem with how it's been handled.
Including Auston, though. Including Auston. He doesn't have to open up or give you anything more than what any other player or team has done in the last 20, 30, 100 years.
Yeah.
Right? It's just like, hey, you not been paying attention? We tell you nothing. So that's the chicken and the egg.
Yeah, I got no issue with how it's
story.
handled. I have issue with being surprised or even the little joke about people being nosy. It's like, pay attention.
I think the ideal response to me for that would be, I understand this market. I understand that people are interested, but I'm just not interested in telling people exactly what's wrong with me. And it's the same way with a lot of players.
Yeah, not that it's like blown up.
You're nosy.
It's
like, we are nosy. We care the most out of anyone. Sorry.
Care about you.
No, it's just like, it's the Leafs, man. I don't know if you've noticed or not. They're popular. You're the best player on the team. Anyways.
Yeah.
We've done enough on that.
Let's talk to or listen to Craig Berube, his thoughts on the return of his captain, clip 1.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, captain of the team, and we missed him. He's been out a while, and it's great to have him back. Looking forward to it, and he looks really good out there. A lot of energy, skating well, moving well, so it's good.
All right.
Skating well,
there for me.
Skating well, moving well. Looks great. So
good.
It does, I will say, watching them without Auston Matthews, like Mitch Marner's still brilliant, and Tavares and William Nylander, but it's a different level. It's one of the better players in the league. You kind of forget how good he is, and you sort of look forward to having him back to be like, oh yeah, it's a reminder, because I'm a Dumbo. I've thought to myself over this run, I'm like, oh, maybe they are a little better without him. Like, everyone's got a better role. Everyone plays better without him. And it's like he comes back, you're like, oh, right.
I just hope I don't see like a lot more forced kind of, he's there, let's just get him the puck as much as possible.
If they played exactly like they've played plus him, that's great.
Oh, yes. Exactly.
Without saying now we got to play a different game because of him.
Yeah. And I want to see a similar look to Mitch Marner on a power play with him coming in.
Absolutely.
Because how many times have we seen Mitch in the past barely touch a puck?
Yeah. Well, the best part is, and that's not something that like is even Auston related to me, is like Mitch has to be, he's so good all around the zone. Like I bet if you looked at like a tracer of where people on power play, it's him and McDavid is the guys who are the most active and can play all over in the zone on the power play. And I think they're most effective when he's doing that. When suddenly he's at the point, suddenly he's on this flank, suddenly he's goal line. They've looked too stagnant prior to Matthews going out.
Did you see that they're going to the 5-forward power play?
I did see that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have someone there?
I think to your point there, Kyper, that if you want to keep Mitch playing the way he's been playing on the power play, where he has the puck a lot, that's a great way of doing it, of making him the top of the sort of. I just hate.
For me, Morgan Riley has been the most guilty in the last year and a half, 2 years of deferring to 34.
See, I think that's a great point. 100% agree.
Not Mitch. or anyone else.
And was it not the first
Morgan.
game that Matthews is out that Riley floated one in and someone tipped it in?
Yeah.
Like the very first game, it was like, hey, sometimes a better option, just get it through to the net.
I think it was Knies that tipped it in.
Like, you don't want to get the puck to Matthews when the D is shifted to him. He's flat-footed. He doesn't create, as you've talked about before. He's a guy who, at the end of some plays,
lands on his stick and he fires it in.
right. I actually liked when Matthews used to play the opposite flank, and he'd come up almost out of the zone to the blue and then be coming downhill and do that forehand catch and release sometimes. So, yeah, a little bit of movement wouldn't hurt him.
Okay, do we have the coach on Bobby McMahon?
We do. We have him.
Or where do you want to go,
Let's
Sammy?
finish the 5-forward power play
Yeah.
from Berube since we're talking about
Perfect.
it. Clip 3, Berube.
Before we had it with the 5 forwards, I thought it looked really good. Just the puck movement and quickness of it all. I really like Knies at the net, and I really like JT in the bumper. So I think just how to make that all work, and we're going to see how it goes. But before we try it, when we did try it, I thought it looked really good, and really that's decision making that I made.
I mean, I like it. You?
Yeah, I think there's going to be a tendency for Tavares to get right back in front of the blue paint. I think it's going to be hard for him
up
to.
in the bumper there?
Well, it's not that I want him up there. I think at times his bread and butter has been right, driving right to the front of the paint. It'll be interesting to see, 2-man end up there.
I don't hate 2-man, but probably what has to happen is he has to get his feelings hurt again this season. And it's probably Knies' spot, and Riley ends up at the top. That's probably like the coach
They'll
himself just
crash
said he
though.
likes
He'll
Knies.
come in and crash and find some loose change. I think.
I like him as
He's-
the high tip and all that, but
You still feel that way though with Tavares, the way he's kind of turned it around here? Because I definitely had that feeling earlier in the year, being like the ideal scenario would be have Knies on there, maybe Ulrich and Larson at the top, but they've really gone away from him on the power play. Like I'm not convinced that they're better on the power play without Tavares out there anymore because he's been so good this year, especially on the power play.
I think it'll be interesting too because you want to keep your lines together. So if you've got Knies, Matthews, Nylander, you have the chance to then kind of keep that together. I don't know, not take too many pieces from the other line instead of 2 and 2.
Okay, let's follow.
it-
Let's. You guys good on that?
Yeah,
I want to follow it up with Berube playing Willie Nylander
This is a
20
great clip.
or the full 2 minutes on power plays recently.
How have you found the whole William staying out for the full power plays he's been going? Do you plan to stick with that now that you kind of have Auston and Knies back?
Well, he likes it.
Told us that, yeah.
Got his ice time up. So that's key, right? Got to get the minutes up. Well, I think Willie, again, we're missing a lot of players, and I think Willie staying out there, he's not used on the penalty kill, and the ice time works out well, and he's the type of guy that can handle it. He plays in his spot there, and he's dangerous. He makes the second unit better. That's the bottom line. He makes the second unit better.
I love that. There's clearly a pretty good relationship between these two guys because that's like he's just making fun of him openly for asking for more minutes.
It's actually really funny if you look at Nylander's ice time over the season. The month of October, I think they played like 11, 12, 11, whatever games.
Yeah.
17:58 was his average ice time.
Wow,
The month
really?
The month of November, exact same amount of games, 20:34 is
Wow.
his average. So you can laugh. Like if you're the coach, like, he has to get his ice time up. Willie's like, I did get my ice time up. I got exactly what I wanted.
Sir, it worked. That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's not really that much different from any other like Connor or McKinnon, and they're just going to take whatever they can get, right?
Yeah.
They'd all want to play the 2 minutes. It's not like you're doing down and backs. It's not like you're doing Wallies on the thing.
Well, and like not everyone skates as well as Willie and moves as little as Willie. You know what I mean? Like he's the ultimate energy conservation guy on the power play. So
Yeah, he can go from absolute 0 to 100 pretty fast.
Yeah.
So,
but he's not going to
Yeah.
100 unless
No,
he
no.
has to.
if the
And,
pucks.
and Brewy's right. He's
Breakaway.
yes.
He is dangerous out there. The key is it needs to be more for the Leafs than it is sometimes
Bingo.
the opposition.
Yeah, that's true too.
All right.
Go ahead.
You want to go D or Sammy? Where do you want to go?
Well, you mentioned before we went on it. Do you want to talk about this Tavares stuff that's been
No, I
flowing
just
out there?
read, I think it was Chris Johnson in The Athletic maybe, mentioning that they're talking again, or they talked in the fall, and there's a sense that Tavares' contract extension could be possibly moving.
I just don't see, and that very well may be true, and it's probably true. This is not commentary on that.
No.
It's commentary on the fact that, like, what's the point? Is there?
I'm with you. I'm like, where's the race to get him done?
Like, absolutely no disrespect to him, but like his family loves it here. His kids are in hockey programs. They got a house.
He's
They're
not Mitch Marner.
What do you mean?
What I mean is, Mitch is 27, not 34.
Right.
Mitch isn't in a position right now where he's telling the whole world, I don't want to move, and it's a top priority for me to stay here. It's like, so why you want to race to go sign John Tavares?
Yeah. I don't think there's any doubt that if you came to him when the season ends and said, here's your 3 times 5 or whatever, whatever it is that he's looking for, if you wanted him and if it works, and I've said this on the show lots, if it doesn't work, I don't think it works at all, whatever the number.
The philosophy that fans have had right up until maybe the last week and a half, 2 weeks on Marner is like, wait until the playoffs. And it's like, you're right, but you don't have the right guy. You need to have that exact attitude on Tavares, not on Mitch Marner.
Yeah, I mean, I agree on Tavares. I don't know if it doesn't work for Mitch too, but I mean, you know better than I would on that. But I see why.
Well, I don't know. It's just an opinion.
What I would say is, if you're looking at these two, and I think just to your point, you're much more likely to lose Marner if you wait till after the playoffs than you are to lose Tavares if you wait till after the playoffs.
For sure.
But you're not going to lose him unless you want to lose.
Who, Tavares?
Yes.
Yeah.
You're not going to lose him unless you want to.
That's exactly
Which
it.
Right?
Is the conversation that I think is a fascinating one.
Which is why I got to see
Here
it.
we are in the quadruple double down on these 4 guys. And the issue right up until going to into this season was it was too comfortable for them.
Lack of accountability,
comfort zone.
Everyone got a contract that was max.
No consequences.
So why would you be racing right now to go make John Tavares comfortable?
You're getting the best out of him while he's uncomfortable.
Keep it that way.
Yeah.
Like, sign him to a 3-year deal for $15 million, and you're right back in a place where if you do sign Marner, they're all coming back, and they could all lose in the first round again. And then where is everybody?
Yeah. You're right. And I also don't hate the idea of the motivation for Marner, too. Contract year, like you're getting a lot out of him right now. He looks fantastic.
He's not motivated. He's going to get his money.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
You don't think it matters how he plays this year?
Of
course it does.
No, it doesn't. No, the Leafs are going to offer him $100 million. Okay? No matter what. Does he want it? Sign. You don't want it?
Yeah.
Bye-bye, I guess. But
I just don't think it's a
not
crazy thing to say how he plays doesn't matter.
Like, where do you think he's going to fall off the face of the earth that you don't want to sign him?
Well, I don't know. I mean, if
Where?
you think you can get, above 100 points, if he can take a step into, the superstardom category.
It's not the difference between $13 million and whatever he ends up with. He's going to get $13 million. So what if he has a great playoff, maybe it's $14 million. If he goes to a conference final or a Stanley Cup final, then it's what?
Infinity.
Infinity.
$1 billion.
Well,
I'm
just saying I'm not getting into this, but it's a way different feeling between trying to get Tavares signed or Marner.
Absolutely.
Right?
I think it only goes up for Marner.
Tavares is the guy that you got to stay hungry. I don't know what our center ice is going to look like, but if you can come in as a hybrid 2-3 and look like you can battle and get us key points in the playoffs, and we go to a conference final, and I want to try it for 2 more years, that's an easier sell.
I think with Marner that, there's a baseline that he knows he's going to get. And the pressure, for some of these guys who are in a contract here, they're like, oh my God, if I score 40 goals this year, I might get $4 million extra or whatever. Like there's a baseline, like you said, the $100 million thing, whatever, if that's true or not. But if he only plays better, it's just going to go up.
For sure.
I don't think
that's great for him to have
for
that
sure.
incentive.
But I don't think it worries as much. Like to his point about the pressure thing and feeling a contract here, I think it's different for a guy like Marner where the baseline is guaranteed there.
He's just going to do what he's done every year, and that's be on 100. He's
exactly.
on a 100-point pace every year, and every year either he's hurt or he's a healthy scratch and he doesn't get it. But for people to say he's not a 100-point guy,
he's not. He's never got 100 points.
Stop it.
He's never got 100 points.
He's a 100-point guy.
He's
not.
Hey,
he's literally never got it.
He's a 100-point per game pace guy.
Is Matthews a 70-goal guy?
Okay.
Is Matthews a 70-goal guy?
I mean, yes.
I've got him. I've got him at even if he scored 70, he's not a 70-goal guy.
It's not semantics.
It's a career year.
It's not semantics. He did not 100.
All right.
All right.
Are we done with this?
Yeah, we're done.
Good job.
Fraser Minton. We got a clip from Berube on him. He's going to be he's going to be centering Robertson, who is still getting opportunities. God love him. Let's hear the thoughts on Minton.
Yeah, for sure. He's got a lot of room for growth. He's a young kid that has not had much experience in the NHL for sure, and didn't really get much playing time in the minors before he was called up because we need him. Like, he's just got to keep working on his game and working on like reading the play better. And the NHL level, it's quick, right? And you got to anticipate and. He's a very positionally sound player. I think that it takes time. That's, it's not just going to happen overnight. It's going to take time.
That's interesting.
Well, it sounds like you'll be going to play with the Marlies.
Sounds more long-term than some of our conversations.
I think it's safe to say. And if he came along 3 years ago, it would have been perfect for him now to be in that position of, this is our third-line centerman.
Yeah.
But he's not there yet. And in a year where you've got to compete for the Stanley Cup, in all probability, he won't be ready for that.
Yeah, it's interesting comments to say he has to work on reading the play better, and he's very positionally sound in the same sentence. That's interesting to me that he's...
That just sounds like making the decisions faster.
Yeah,
right?
knows where to be.
Faster league, but,
But that's great. I've said the other day, like these guys, it'd be better for them to have the puck, be the man, be on the power play, play 20 minutes a night, way better for their development. And that's something good teams have the advantage of doing where you see bad teams rush players along.
Yeah. Do you want to do the last one on Hakanpää?
Just one other thought on like Robertson being in there. Okay.
Yeah.
I think it's big picture stuff. I think it's in mind of keep him out there, keep him playing, and whatever value there is out there. And I know the numbers stink, but if I'm a team out there, I'd seriously consider trading for him.
I would too.
I don't have to give too much up. I don't know. Do you think you can get a third rounder for him?
You guys would be the worst pro scouts ever.
I think you could get a third rounder for him.
Yeah,
maybe a fourth. I don't think a second.
No.
But
a second?
He's a pretty decent hockey player.
Young. He's young, and he's got some upside.
He does.
Sammy, I don't know.
I just like my whole identity is crapping all over this guy, so I'm just going to shut up. Like, I feel like all I ever do is crap on him, and I feel bad.
I don't think on a contending team he's in a position to think that he can be a top 6, but I don't know that for sure. But I think teams should be willing to give him a look-see.
I don't think it's impossible that he has a games where he scores, a clump of games
where
he scores a bunch of goals.
When you predicted 20 goals, 25 goals, you saw something.
Yeah.
And we saw something when he had almost 15 goals last year.
Yeah. I mean, he is a unique shooter.
So I get if the Leafs want to keep him in the mix without completely dumping on an asset.
The best thing to ever happen for him is that everyone's injured. what else are you going to do? Who's in?
But
Who's in
you
next?
could have Dewar or Steves in there.
No.
Saturday night.
No, they're in too.
Right?
Everyone's
Oh,
in.
no. So who's out?
Alex
Nobody.
Nylander.
Oh, Alex Nylander's.
Oh,
Alex
yeah, you're
Nylander's
right,
out.
you're right, you're
and
right,
Reeves
you're right.
is still suspended.
Yeah. Okay.
So,
All
I mean,
right.
he's better
Yeah.
than Alex Nylander.
Yes.
All right, let's
Yeah.
go to break and get to
Yeah.
Okay.
Get
Bunk
Bunkis
show.
on.
All right. JD.
We got Bunk.
Yeah, buddy.
Does that mean I can go for a coffee? Because no one talks more than this guy.
He's gonna carry us through.
All right. JD Bunkis, when we return, co-host of Leaf Talk and the JD Bunkis podcast. Up next. Welcome back to the Leaf edition of the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. As promised, our next guest could be the only guy in 25 years I've been around Sportsnet that's never lost for words. Anyone else come close?
I mean, you.
No. I just quietly sit here and listen to you
Oh,
guys.
yeah, what are you talking
I
about?
just do ins and outs.
Yeah, right.
JD Bunkis from
I'm a
Leaf
chatty
Talk
Cathy.
and your own podcast show called the JD Bunkis.
It's not even a show; it's just a the JD.
Yeah,
Bunk.
just the JD
Is that just
Bunkus.
it?
Honestly, I think that might be a halfway decent rebrand.
Hey.
Just the JD Bunkus.
Can you tell it's Friday and I'm really out of gas right now? Because I need you
mean-
bad. I hope you're like the Energizer bunny right now, ready to go on the Leafs.
Brother, I always got it.
Okay,
I
so-
always got it.
so-
I am that guy.
listen.
I always have it.
I think the overall talk, everybody's happy that Austin's coming back tomorrow night against Tampa Bay, but I want to get your perspective because you're like that new breed of journalism or, talk, radio talk, podcast talk. What's your view on how Austin's injury was handled?
I personally wish there would have been a little bit more information. I understand that this is a guy who had a wrist injury early in his career and felt targeted, and essentially from that moment forward wanted a different degree of privacy, a cone of silence with privacy. But I just find like the Leafs in general bumble a lot of these things, which is there's just seems to be bad communication with the fans. I get part of this may have been a setback, but then just kind of come out and say that. Don't have us picking between the words that Craig Berube is saying. And I feel like for a team that is so PR conscious, for a team that, really cares about the narratives that are around the group, I don't know why they don't try to just kind of satiate some of the media and fan asks when it comes to things like this. Like, this is one of the best players on the planet. I know it's up for debate on your guys' show, the best player on the team, one of the greatest goal scorers of a generation. And you can't give clarity beyond day to day and week to week and where he is. And I feel like so much of the discussion around it, so much of the speculation, so much of the guesswork that ends up happening is kind of their own doing. So again, I understand Auston Matthews is not like a unique person in the NHL in that he doesn't want all of his injury information out there. He covets privacy, much like most players in the league. In fact, they just did a player poll to indicate that is like the strong majority of hockey players. And Kyper, I'm sure you felt the same way. But man, oh man, it just, to me, it's like, you do this to yourselves sometimes, and I don't think it's good for anybody. And I certainly don't think it's great for people who are season ticket holders or who are expected to pay huge dollars for tickets and concessions and all the things that come around with being a Leafs fan. So I'm mildly frustrated by it. I don't think that it's a huge issue or a massive problem. I certainly haven't lost sleep over it. But again, I think that it does speak to a team that at times really struggles to understand its own fan base. And I do think that it is an indicator of what we have now, which is teams in general seem to have a greater divide between the consumer and the team and what the goals are of those operations.
Bunk, you and I have been talking about the Maple Leafs for a lot of years now, and
Sure have, brother.
and trying to find, the breakthrough, and trying to find a team where we say, okay, this is the one. We like the way this is built. I want to know with this team this year, what's important to you to see from this team. And it can be, anything. Is it important to you that they get Mitch Marner under contract? Is it important to you that they show physical, a more physical play or better defense or goaltending? What right now feels most important to you about the Leafs?
So I do want to come back on the Marner thing because I have a question for Kip. Like I gotta
I only ask questions on this show.
No, I would like to please ask if I can have one question for you, because I think it's pertinent, and I do think
Ask
that
it
it's
then.
kind of
Just ask
I
it.
do think it's kind. What? Ask it right now.
Yeah,
Then
ask
the
him.
answer to your question. Okay, I like how I just immediately was like, "Hey, I'm gonna take over that question for you."
I'll
I
ask
do
it
have
again.
a lot
I'll
of-
ask it again.
I do have a lot of answers to that, but yeah, Kip. So the Marner discourse lately is kicked up, right? And it's been, hey, what do you do? What do you sign him to? What's he asking for? And all these different things, which makes sense because he's playing great and Matthews has been out of the lineup and he's carried a line. And you look at some of the numbers on this guy, it's like, he's second in the league and passes to the slot and he's scoring goals and he's playing with confidence. And so naturally people are going like, hey, you can't lose this guy. You can't lose this guy. Let's kick it up and let's talk about the contract extension. And to me, I've always been in the camp of like, there's really nothing to talk about because you need to see what happens after the playoffs. Like you need to see a proof of concept that is different than what we have seen year over year over year. But the question that I don't think enough people are asking when it comes to this thing and the timing of it is, do you get the sense that by the Leafs not reaching out to him and trying to meet whatever contractual demands they might have today in order to get a contract done, that is in some way going to be viewed as adversarial by Mitch Marner and his team? Like, as in, you are running the risk every day of not extending Mitch Marner, that things can get uglier come the offseason. Because to me, that's the only reason that you would consider signing a contract during the regular season is if you feel like he and the team that he is represented by would be in some way angry or feel disrespected by a lack of an offer until the end of the season.
I'm sorry, do you have information that the Leafs aren't trying to sign him right now?
No, I actually feel like they have been kind of trying to sign
it's a bad feel.
Yeah.
It's a bad feel.
Yeah.
No, he's saying that he believes that the Leafs aren't aggressive or reaching out to him to try to sign him.
And no, he's asked. I think he's asked it. Are they?
No,
I'm telling you,
saying,
that's that feeling in probably wrong that they are trying to sign him and they are putting offers in. Is that basically what you're saying?
Well, I'm saying that if they're not meeting the demand, right? Like because if it's not done yet and they are trying to sign him, that would indicate to me that what he's asking for is a massive number and that they're still trying to haggle this thing down and figure out, what it is going to be. But that if you are trying to do it right now and you're not getting it done, is this going to get personal? Like, does this get to a phase, or does it have the potential to get to a phase in season where things get ugly between Marner and the Leafs? Like, do you think that he's taking it personally that, say, like with William Nylander, he signed a contract extension in season that it got done? With Auston Matthews, it never felt like it was ever going to be a problem. And that if this thing does drag out and it goes to the end of the year, that they're going to be pissed about that.
I think there's different ways to look at it for sure. So, I mean, there might be a list of things that either the Leafs want to see or Marner wants to see. And I don't think that there's any rush. If you just, on face value, JD, if you tell me that this is just about hitting a number, probably say that you're wrong, that there's other factors that come into play in this whole dynamic. And as we know, Mitch is taking a lot of heat here. The question is, does he set himself up for that type of behavior to continue? Is he comfortable with it? I think that can play a factor. I think there's also a factor of, if I commit to the Leafs, is this a program that is going to give me a good shot at winning a Stanley Cup, or is this team just spinning its wheels and I'm going to find myself being that guy that has a statue with them but never got to a conference final? I mean, there's a lot of different dynamics going into this, and I think the fact that we haven't seen a deal up until this point, and I don't know where we're going to be at Christmas or January or February, is because people want to respect each other's space. But I'm not sure Mitch Marner's in a race to go get a contract right now. So there's two sides to this, and it's not just Mitch sitting there going, I've got a number, hit it, and I'll sign. I think it's important, but I don't know if I would have that at the top of my list on other things that maybe one another want to look at. Does that make any sense?
Yeah.
I think that's actually really fascinating because, yeah, that's been sort of the sense I'm getting. And, you saying that makes it seem like, say, I was talking about Vladimir Guerrero Jr. today on my podcast, right? And there's a growing sense, Ben Nicholson-Smith mentioned this, that it has flipped from the Blue Jays wanting Vladimir Guerrero Jr. done to Vladimir Guerrero Jr., him being the one that is essentially deciding the contract extension. And so what I guess I'm reading is that the Leafs have kind of tendered a pretty aggressive number, and that it's actually this guy that's kind of holding it and going, you know what, let's wait and see. It's not the team that's going, let's wait and see, which is what I think most fans have been wanting in this situation, or at least been open to and receptive to in this situation. But it's kind of a wholehearted other deal if it's the player.
And they've done a really good job of kind of keeping it tight the last little while. We don't get any leakage. We don't get any Kevin Weeks. The Rangers just offered Shesterkin, right? Like there's nothing out there like that. But even if there is, go back to a couple of scenarios, whether we're talking about John Tavares giving Islander fans 7 years ago, I'm staying, I want to stay, to, that guy never wanted to stay, right? So you don't know what you're dealing with these guys going into their last year on what's important. Where is the pecking order of money, family, right? Mitch is starting a family. Do I want my kids to be in an environment, eventually, if I stay for another 8 years, to grow up to, kids in junior kindergarten or senior kindergarten going, your dad screwed us with that contract. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Those are fair considerations. I still remember I think it was Hal Gill that told me a story once about him and Brian McKay being at like a children's music concert, and people at the children's music concert, booing him like something like Barney. You're like, oh yeah, the city can have those moments. So I would get those considerations. But again, I think that the way it's been framed to most of us was like, hey, the Leafs have to play tough, right? Going into the offseason. Hey, the Leafs can't just capitulate. They've got to have their internal cap structure. They've got to stand firm and stand their ground. And Mitch Marner has to be the first guy that this is going to change with. And then, it seems like, no, it's actually the opposite is true, is that they're the team that's willing to capitulate. They're the team that's willing to go up and kind of hit the number. And that it maybe, like you said, it's Marner's camp that's a little reluctant or hesitant and is curious to see what might end up happening come season's end, which is like a huge shift in the dynamic that kind of happened quietly that no one seems to be, I think, acknowledging outside of mostly your guys' show.
Hey, there's a reason we are, a good show, bud. I got news for you. News flash. News flash. That's why people listen.
Yeah. Okay.
No, they're here for the Robertson takes.
Is there a take beyond he falls down a lot and that's it? Is there a more nuanced take than that?
There's I wish we could erase every take from the internet that I've ever had about this game.
You and I are a true blue embarrassment.
Yeah.
Are you okay with Robertson holding his spot in the likes of Steves or Dewar underneath him?
No, I have no interest any longer in.
You're breaking up with him?
Robertson here. Yeah, I like I did a while ago. I felt like a fool the second I watched Max Pacioretty step out onto the ice, and I was like, oh, okay, like this guy can actually do things, and he's a real professional. And here I was having takes being like, you can't take the risk on the older guy that doesn't have the upside. And then I went, oh, right, their size does matter in this league, and track record does matter in this league, and an offseason where a guy was getting healthy. And granted, he hasn't been able to stay it, so the big concern about Pacioretty was there, but they also built that problem into his contract to kind of mitigate some of the problem that it presents. I think that you guys were talking about this the other day, how, if you're not going to play Robertson up the lineup now, then why even have him at all? And I think to me, and, again, you guys would know better than I would, but I would have to imagine that the Leafs have some kind of move in their back pocket, very similar to what they had with Timothy Liljegren. And that when they get forwards healthy, they're like, we got a plan. And he's basically the first guy out. Like Grebenkin to me looks like he can have more of an impact. And I think he should still be down in the AHL. Fraser Minton clearly can have more of an impact. He should also still be down in the AHL. Like, it's not a good thing that when I watch Pontus Holmberg and I go, oh my God, I think Borny, you called him the least talented offensive player in the NHL, that I watched the least talented offensive player in the NHL and I go, there is not one case that you can make to me that that guy is a worse hockey player or a less deserving player to be on the Maple Leafs than Nick Robertson. So I think once you've reached that point where it's multiple AHLers come up and outperform you, then the scenario is quite clear.
Okay, this will be the most important question I ask you on this segment.
Sure.
Is Justin Bourne's Down and Back or my undrafted book on your shelf behind you?
Justin Bourne's is. You never sent me a copy of yours.
To be clear, Bunk didn't pay for one.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, nobody. Bourne gave me one that was signed with a nice inscription in it about our friendship. Like, Kyper, you send it away, and I'll put it right on the shelf.
All
I'll
right.
get it right there beside
I'll
his.
sign one to you.
Yeah, I'll take a signed copy, but so far there's been none. So
Okay.
the ball's in your court there.
Yeah, I guess it is.
But both would make great holiday gifts.
Great. Hey, now I like you.
Yeah, there you go.
Great
There we
call.
go.
All right, JD,
Yeah.
thanks for joining us, man.
Thanks,
Of
Bunk.
course, guys. See you later.
Leaf Talk and the JD Bunkis podcast. That's where you can find that guy.
Listen, I don't really ever do this, but we do a show after every game. Me and Bunk on YouTube, on Sportsnet Plus, it's on podcast. So if you want the immediate Dumbo takes from me, and then I come back in here the after and be like, oh crap, I was all wrong.
I actually think the idea of Leafs Talk, if you accept what it is, that there's been no time for calculated analysis. It's just how does it make you feel after the game?
And we do the
It
playoff
has
ones,
value.
and like me going in there having to after Pasternak bangs one in, I'm just like, oh my god,
it is.
I'm about to cry. Like, how am I going to do this?
It is nice that all the Leaf crazies have somewhere to go
Yes.
after a game.
Yeah,
Thank you.
like the immediate venting thing. You know what was fascinating is when when I was with Sheldon Keefe and that staff, Lamoriello had them all fill out your immediate feeling about each player, 1 to 5. Just I had
So after the game.
after the game. So each coach couldn't talk to each other. They would walk into the room in silence. I had put a sheet on each of their desks. Each player 1 to 5, and a little comment if you wanted on the guys. And then they would get faxed away to Lou. Faxed, by the way.
Facts.
Because he wanted that feeling. And then like the next day you'd watch the video and be like, I had it all wrong.
That's actually fascinating.
Like on this, that, or whatever. But Lou wanted that initial capture from the staff.
That is that's really good.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
Me and Lou, same guy.
I'm gonna grab a few people out there and have them grade you guys after the show.
One to
God.
five.
Not this week. Next week when there's more games, let's do it.
Yeah.
Who
Okay.
are you, Babcock, making a list? What's going on here?
Yes.
Who works
I
hard?
am.
Holy
I
smokes.
am.
Yeah.
And your lineup's slipping a little
Yeah, I
bit
know it has.
lately.
Listen,
Right?
there hasn't,
I got
There
got
hasn't been any
scratches
games.
on it.
there hasn't been games. Okay.
I got Derek Brandeo on it.
It's much
scratched
improved
out.
from last year.
Thank you.
For-
Appreciate it.
Austin.
Mackie.
Yes.
Awesome Mackie. Our
Austin
boy.
Mackey.
Yep.
Yeah. And you got horrible penmanship too, by the way.
I know, that's why I type it out, buddy. So tomorrow night,
Yeah.
big game, right?
Absolutely.
It's like we're measured into big game season here.
So how many games we got? Is Tampa playing right now?
Tampa's currently on the rink. I
Hey,
believe,
tell me
right?
who's in net because I'll tell you who's not in net tomorrow night against the Leafs.
This is a good thought you're having.
Vasilevsky in today.
I'm going to use the
'cause
internet.
I think Tampa.
2-2 with the Predators right now.
And who's in net?
And the goalie is. God, the internet's hard when people are waiting for
I got you, buddy.
All right.
I'm picking
Box
it up
score.
right now here.
Ding, ding,
It's
ding,
no,
ding,
it's
ding, ding,
Jonason. or whatever.
Okay,
they're
so
complaining
then-
for the Leafs.
ding. So then Vasilevsky will be back in. But do we really know? Like,
He's been good, Vasilevsky.
Yeah, he's like a 9-11 or something.
He's coming around.
he's coming around.
He is. Unfortunately, he is
He had,
coming
he had
around.
a tough one the other night, didn't he?
Yeah, but his numbers have he was quite bad again at the start of the year, but he had a
Yeah.
he's gotten
It
back.
was Washington, I think, that came back at the end,
Yeah.
on him.
Well, yeah, that was the game that, what's his name, shot at his own net.
Oh yeah.
The goalie.
So
Yeah.
his last 5, he is at 844, 920, 857, 895 in the 1,000. So
A 1,000.
up and down.
Yeah, that's good.
I think
And
that means no
Yeah,
goals.
Right.
all right,
100%.
Sean Reynolds will get at the top of the hour coming up on our national
He's got
show.
King Sens, Hockey Night in Canada, so we can talk some Sens. He's got all the Jets knowledge in the world.
Oh, busy. You like this, all these games while our show is going on?
Hate it.
I'm, I haven't been betting much this year. I got some money on today, so I'm enjoying it.
You're doing well?
Bet 365.
Okay.
I didn't say I was doing well. I said I have money on it.
But the games, you need to know what period each game's going into.
Yeah. That was poor gambling on my part.
Okay, we're back. Don't go away. All right, let's close out this week as we go national on the Real Kyper and Bourne Show. We are live on 650 in Vancouver, Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, and Sportsnet, maybe even more importantly, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary, because we are sporting a brand new Calgary Flame jersey.
I'm trying to do a weatherman. It's not easy to.
Look at that thing. So just to give it some context here, last week I hung this shirt up. Right?
Ryan
Is it your
Fabro's
dog's?
baby's jersey.
And this is like, Chris Farley in a little jacket. Chris Farley in a little jacket. So what happened was Craig Conroy's wife was watching our show
Okay.
and told Craig, you guys got to send him a jersey.
Come on.
So
Is her name Connie?
not to put pressure on the wives of like Tree Living and Kent Hughes and Michael Anlauer and Kevin Shovel-Dayoff and
Who else? What else?
Alvin.
We
But
would love to put up a pretty sweater
come
of
on,
every Canadian
you
team.
can't have the Calgary Flames
We're going to see a lot of flames this
show
year.
you up like that. And by the way, we're going to start pushing for a Craig Conroy lifetime contract.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Starting today as well.
I got to say, that is one of the most gorgeous jerseys
Yeah,
in all of
it's
hockey.
a
It's
nice
top 10
red.
easy.
Top 10?
5,
I'm saying top 5
probably.
easy. I even like the white ones
I like
more,
the white
but that
more than
one's
the red, yeah.
sharp. You've never really been a red jersey guy. I
No,
remember that
I'm
about
actually
you.
not.
Yeah,
I find it agitating.
Well, I
But,
watched-
these are the best red jerseys
Yeah.
going.
beautiful jersey.
And we're inclusive here on our show.
Okay.
So anyone south of the border, and
Any
I'm not
jersey.
going to name all the GM's wives, but
What
hey,
if you did?
hey,
It'd be
Be
incredible.
impressive.
send us.
Oh,
We
yeah.
will hang it up.
Yes, we'll hang it up.
Is there any team we won't? Do we have a team that we just want to make enemies with?
No.
Would you put
No.
up a Bruins one?
No. So
Would
Bruins.
you put up a Canadians? Oh, yeah.
yeah, I
have
would.
to.
I'd have. No, I would. No,
Yes,
I wouldn't hang
yes,
it.
National Hour we'd hang
I
it.
wouldn't. You could.
Oh, I'll hang it.
Yeah.
I just found out, like, the Minnesota Wild, that their logo is like the shape of a bear. Did you know that?
Of course.
I didn't.
Yeah, it's like
I will
I
say,
thought it was the shape of the state or something.
in
I
your
don't
defense,
know.
in your defense, I didn't know. Like, it's not like I always knew, but I think a few years ago, I was like, oh, yeah, okay, I see it.
it's actually one of the most underrated great logos in the league.
I used to hate it because it was
Yeah.
just a mess.
Yeah, no, but it's a bear. And anyways, they're beautiful jerseys.
I
too.
love their jerseys.
Send one of those in too.
Okay, in a few
Thanks
minutes.
for listening.
In a few minutes, we'll welcome in Sean Reynolds, Sportsnet reporter in Winnipeg. As you know, I mean, 15-1 was like off the charts, but have they kind of cooled a little bit in your opinion, the Winnipeg Jets?
They're 18-5.
I know,
Yeah.
I know, but
Yeah, I mean, they've cooled from being molten lava.
there was nowhere to go but
Yeah.
down.
Right. And
Absolutely.
that's kind of the tough part is like you were going to hit a stretch where people are like, yeah, you guys are slumping. And it's like, oh, it's kind of normal for teams to go 500 over a few games, which is all they've done. So looking forward to, we can get more answers from him than I have.
So 9 games currently going on right now, coming off of American
scored, yeah.
Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
And like, this is for the second
I
day
got
in a
the
row.
remote here.
I really wish I was on the couch right now.
Oh, I know.
I'd be flipping like crazy. This would be a fun day to just stay home and watch all these games.
What else we got going on
midday.
here,
I
boys?
think people just know that we have a TV on in here. And if there's a lull in the action, just someone text the station and we'll wake up. I don't know. We're a little distracted today. Put the
Yeah.
Isles on. They're up 3-1 going to the third. They blow leads all the time. It'll be fascinating.
So by the way, texts. Make sure you text in if you're listening 590-590. and we'll read some texts after we talk to Sean.
Yeah.
So text in anything you want. Make sure it's lots of non-lease related stuff.
And
there you
it's
go.
really nice of Sean to join us,
Yes.
first of all, because it is American long weekend, Thanksgiving, and people are like, scram beat it.
Yeah. No one wants to talk to us.
I got to tell you, boys, this is the worst week for radio production in the world.
Is it?
Like we lost Mac, we lost Valley. Anyone south of the border, you text them after Tuesday. No,
But you're one of the best in the business.
No.
I don't want to hear
No,
that.
I'm
That's
not.
just a lousy excuse.
I am far from one of the best in the business, buddy.
That's good, Kip. That's like a coach, eh? Just no, it is. You're like, just what am I supposed to do on that play? And the coach is not good enough. You're supposed to get there, get it done.
Got to mention the New York Rangers here in a
boy.
bit of a spiral here.
Mm-hmm.
For a team that basically still is looking at a playoff spot, I'm just wondering if all of the noise this past week has sent them further down.
Well, I'm not going to claim to be the first person to have said it because Sammy said it off the air, but on the air, I'll be the first to publicly wonder here, is Laviolette in danger? The team is 12-9, so you wouldn't think so, but their last 5, you lose to the Flames, you lose to the Oilers, lose to the Blues, lose to the Canes, lose to the Flyers, 5 straight.
And today, it wasn't like it was a good, hard-fought loss. They were lucky to be in that. They didn't have Shesterkin. That's an 8-1 game. There was multiple. I don't know how many odd man rushes they had in that game. It was out of control.
You know what I'll say is the worst thing for the Rangers, which most people might call the best thing? They play Montreal tomorrow, who may be the worst team in the league, at 1 p.m. So back-to-back, chance to get beat by a team that people think is bad. That changes a coach's outlook.
With your backup goalie in net.
Right.
Okay, let's go to Sean Reynolds, Sportsnet reporter in Winnipeg. Thanks for joining us, Sean. Really appreciate it. Tons of games going on right now, and there's one that's going to be pretty important with the Jets in Vegas tonight. So I just kind of half jokingly said that when you come out 15-1, and then you look at the week that the Winnipeg Jets have had, kind of a bummer. No.
Yeah. First off, I'm not in Winnipeg. I'm in LA, so that's why the different surroundings.
You got Hockey Night Canada this weekend, right?
Yes, yeah, Ottawa and the Kings tomorrow. But yeah, a little bit of a bummer. Hey, I remember I was on this program and you guys said, I forget what it was. They were like, I don't know, 13-1 or something at some point. You're like, can they continue this? And it's like, no, of course not. Like, they're not going to keep going at that absolutely torrid pace. There's a little bit of this, a team coming back down to earth. I do think this as well. And the explanation I gave you the last time I was on the show of what was happening with the Jets is the Jets were a team that, I think they were in fifth gear and running it in the red. And they did that right out of the gates, right? Game 1, they're on. Everyone's played with each other. Everyone knows who everybody is. The Jets know who they are. They're not crafting an identity. You guys will know this. Other teams take a while to craft a bit of an identity. The Jets don't because they need all that. So a little bit of this is just the idea that the rest of the league is waking up or catching up, right? So the Jets now, I think they've gone in their last 7 games. They've lost 4 of their last 7 games. It has to do with the schedule as well. I remember when we were on it before and we were talking, the Jets, I think they played 2 playoff teams from last season. And I think right now of the 16 teams in the playoffs last year, I think 14 are in a playoff spot right now. So the Jets played 2 teams over the playoff line last season in the first 13 games of this season. So the schedule that they had was the schedule that was very conducive for them having one of the greatest starts that we've seen in NHL history. Now, all of a sudden, it's the hard part. This is the grinding road trip. They're starting to play more grinding teams. So this is, to me, just very normal. I still think that game against the LA Kings that the Jets just lost, I thought they played a really good game. I thought they looked like themselves. They played to their identity. Just the Kings played to their identity and just came out on top on this night. The one thing I'd say about the Jets is, for the most part, even in the games that they lose, they still look really good. They're forcing other teams to come up and have their best to beat them, but that's what you're seeing. Florida, when they beat them, had not been playing that well, and all of a sudden Florida came out and looked just like they did winning the cup last year. Nashville hasn't looked they're the same, or sorry, they haven't looked like a very good team at all. And after the game, Jonathan March, so it tells me, okay, this is what we're supposed to look like. We're finally figuring it out. The Kings, same thing. So you don't get to hide when you have the kind of start that the Winnipeg Jets had. Teams are coming out. They're playing their best hockey against them. And what we're seeing now is that other teams are good teams too. And the Winnipeg Jets win some and lose some rather than just walk away with the money every single time.
This is just a weird statistical blip that's not even analysis, but the last 4 games they've played have been 4-1, 4-1, 4-1, and 4-1. 6 of their last 9 scores have been 4-1. That's extremely weird to me. Anyway, that helped nobody, but I thought it was fun to share. So I've been working with David Amber quite a bit lately, and he loves to talk about the Four Nations face-off. Adam Lowry is a name that comes up with some consistency. And some people either roll their eyes at that or they love him. Tell us about Adam Lowry, the season he's having, and where you see him in the scope of Canadian players.
Yeah, if you liked Adam Lowry last year, you like him this year. If you liked Adam Lowry back in 2015 when he was a very young man, the Jets, as the Jets 2.0, made the playoffs for the first time in a long time, and he was their best player back in 2000. And this is Blake Wheeler before Blake Wheeler was at his peak. Mark Scheifele before Mark Scheifele was at his peak. This is how long ago that was. Adam Lowry comes out in that series against the Ducks back when the Ducks were the Anaheim Ducks and absolutely makes those guys earn every single bit of the ice. He's a great player, was a great player then, great player now. If you saw what he was worth last year, he's worth that this year, really drives this team. So if you're going and you're looking for a very pure shut down defender kind of guy, he'd be a great candidate for it. The one thing that I would caution is that's what he is. He's a shut down guy. You cannot expect when things get really hairy and you're thinking we really need a guy to go out and be the guy to put the puck in the back of the net. That's not something you can expect from Adam Lowry. So it's a zero-sum game, right? He's going to go out there. He's going to make life miserable on the other guys. He's going to make it really hard. He's going to make them earn every single inch of their ice. But he's probably not going to be popping the puck in the back of the net and winning you that tournament on the offensive side of things. So if that's what you want, the Winnipeg Jets, they could get that. And you wouldn't do much better than that, in my opinion, in the league. I just know that it can get tricky when you're playing that zero-sum game to have a guy who's probably not going to get you offense. And the other question about that is if he's a guy who's not going to give you offense, what does he do to the right winger and the left winger that you send along with him? And how does he affect their offense? Because I think Canada has been spoiled for years. Usually they've got a good chunk of players who can do that, but they can score as well. My guess is they'd be looking for someone who's going to have a little bit more of an offensive impact in the game as well.
A reminder that this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne is brought to you by Bet365. We're joined by Sean Reynolds, sports reporter in Winnipeg, but now in L.A. Sean, just to stay with the Four Nations kind of theme here, another name that intrigues me is Mark Scheifele for that team. We had Doug Armstrong on the other day. He talked about the importance of good centerman that could easily slide over and play the wing, 200-foot kind of guy. He comes to mind. He has to be on the radar. In saying that, there is some speculation that he's hurt or he's hiding an injury as well. So tell us your thoughts on both those things.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He's dealing with something right now, and there's no doubt about the idea that it's affecting his game. I mean, you take his winger, Gabe Villard, and you put him at the dot taking face-offs now. There's no doubt about it. If that injury wasn't prevalent at the moment right now, I would say Mark Scheifele has left no doubt about the idea that he should be on Team Canada and will be on Team Canada. There's just so many fits here. Mark Scheifele's a big, strong guy, right? So when he gets the puck in the offensive zone, he's really, really hard to get off it. And if you are going to get him off it, you're going to have to work really, really hard to get him off it. So there's an aspect of his game that just, one of the things that makes him good is he can tire teams out. And it's one of the reasons I think why a lot of times this year, later in the game, he or his line is scoring to put the Jets over the top. He's a real put you over the top kind of player. So I think that has something to do with how hard he is to play against and get the puck off of him. But to me, it's a whole bunch of other things. It's the fact that I don't expect him to go as one of the four centermen, but I think that he can play on the wing with a lot of really great players. His creativity and his passing, finding passing zones in the offensive zone is absolutely elite. Like right now, his short area passing is elite. So you can put him with scorers, guys like Reinhart. If he ended up on a line with him, he's the kind of guy, he'll be able to find Reinhart as good as a lot of players in the league right now. One of the other things that I just think is important here is we know that he knows Connor McDavid, chats with him in the offseason. They go back to Team North America together, where he played on that team and found his way eventually on a line with Auston Matthews and Connor McDavid. So he can play with that player. And then we're always told this story about how he went and played at the World Championships, and I think they started him off down the line up there, and he worked his way up to being Canada's #1 center. I think he's shown during international play, limited, no doubt, that he's a really, really good player, but he wants this. He wants it bad. He's more mature, hard to play against. Looks like he can play with everybody, can play in the wing, but move into center if you need a guy there, and plays and knows how to play with the very top stars on that team. I think he really just checks all the boxes.
For sure. I got to say, I love that you have your microphone with you in LA. This is the most professional interview we've had for someone in a hotel room in Los Angeles.
No, they come standard now in the hotel.
They do. It just goes standard. It's a good hotel.
It's by the umbrella in the closet.
So you're there to cover the Ottawa Senators playing the Los Angeles Kings. The Sens a couple games ago were 8-11-1, in real trouble for a team that people had high hopes for going into the year. They've since won 2 games. They're close to getting back to 500, and their schedule gets a little softer after this Kings game. What's your take on the status of where the Senators and their season is at?
Yeah, I mean, talking earlier on with their head coach, this is a team that knows what it needs to do to succeed. Now it's a question of just going out and doing it, but not only a question of going out and doing it, but finding a way to do that night in and night out. And that, to me, is the tricky part. So you get after 15 games and things get real, right? And I always, I hate talking and using language like that. I only use it because I hear it from players. So I'm sure Kyper would say the same thing. You can go for the first 10 games and you can be anybody you want to be for 10 games. Okay, now go do it times 8, right? Yeah. Do it for 82 straight games. And so I did a number of early games, and talking with Travis Green, I remember there was a game that they'd had against the New York Rangers, and they lost that game. They got goalied, but they were the better team in that game. And then they were playing the back end of a back-to-back, flying back to Ottawa, playing a Hockey Night in Canada game the next night. And we covered that game. And he told this great story about afterwards. He went to Claude Giroux after the game, and he's like, well, what'd you think of the game? And Giroux said, I think it was our best game of the year. And he said, I do too. We better go do it again tomorrow. Right. And the idea being like, don't be celebrating the fact that you took on the Rangers, who were looking like one of the best teams in the league at the time. And you were better than them, and you should have beat them. If you take, we should have beat them, and you let that stop you from giving your best effort the next night, and now you lose 2 straight. Well, that's how you end up being a losing team. And I think they're still learning those lessons, trying to find a way to go out and be the best team they can for a while. I kept hearing this line over the last little while. They need their goalies to wake up and steal them a game. That happened last game. Maybe they shouldn't have needed to happen against the San Jose Sharks, but this is a team that has not had a lot of goalie steals over the last couple of years. They got one last game. And again, if you're a player and you kind of feel like you're trying to figure it out, and then you get to start to feel like every mistake that you make doesn't end up in the back of your net, now all of a sudden you got a little bit more confidence to go play and do your thing. So hopefully that's the goalie win this team has been looking for, that can get it to turn around, because when they've played to the identity they're supposed to play to this season, I think they're a really good team. It's hard to be the team that does the right things time and time again, night in and night out, for 82 games a season.
And the pressure of making $8.25 million a year when you're supposed to stop pucks. You've been watching one of the best the last few years in Connor Hellebuyck, and now a guy like Ullmark is, albeit in the market like Ottawa, but still a ton of pressure to live up to that.
Oh, I mean, it's immense, and it's interesting. I'm glad you brought up both goaltenders, because I thought right off the bat when Ullmark got that, and he just essentially got Connor Hellebuyck money. Now, I know that Hellebuyck kind of reset the market here, right? Like, we were at a point where we were looking, okay, the best goalies in the game are going to start going to get $10 million, and Hellebuyck has really put goaltenders in a really tough spot, I think, around the league, because he takes that $8.25 million a year, and now all of a sudden that's a standard that is kind of easily achievable for goaltenders that are, well, they've shown signs of being one of the better goalies in the league. That's Ullmark. He's got himself a Vezina trophy, so you've got that in the trophy case. But we know his situation with the Bruins was one where he was kind of sharing the crease, and you say he still has a lot to prove. He's definitely not proven himself to the place that Connor Hellebuyck has. But that said, Connor Hellebuyck has now made it so that any goalie out there who's signing a new contract, and that's the contract they're playing up to, you are playing up to Connor Hellebuyck money. And so there's no doubt about it. There's no hiding for Ullmark. He got hired to be the guy, signed a long-term deal, got hired to be the guy for a really, really long time. And when the principles are so defined, like they are in Ottawa, where they're like, okay, we think we've got everything we need. Now we just need to switch to a playoff hockey team. A lot of that switch, when you're that goalie who comes in at that money, a lot of that is going to fall on your shoulders. So, I think with goalies, it's the same thing as players. Sometimes it takes a little bit to understand, okay, this guy often will let this pass through, or I don't need to worry about that. You need to learn how to play behind the system you're playing against. Hopefully for Ullmark, that's a sign of that last game is a sign of what that happening. Because if he can marry himself to Ottawa's game, again, I've seen a number of games this year where I look at Ottawa and I think that's a good hockey team. That's a good game that they're playing. If they replicate that game over and over again, they're going to put themselves in a good spot. I just think that they're having trouble, like most teams do. You always hear this: you got to be bad before you're good. Sometimes it's hard to stop being bad when you've been bad so long. I just think that's where Ottawa is.
Can I just follow up one more on Connor Hellebuyck and Winnipeg in terms of, again, when you're that guy right now and he's just a mule, he's just one of those guys where it looks like he's pissed off if he's not playing every game. So right now he's projected, Sean, to play 65 games. He had a great year last year, but we know what happened in the first round of the playoffs. Where's the sense of just give him his 65 games again this year? Or, do you have to protect him now with the thought in mind of last year's first round?
I think that the Jets as a team have been needing to protect Connor Hellebuyck from himself for quite a long time. Himself being the idea that Connor Hellebuyck, if you let him, would play 82 games every single year. It's what he wants to do. And everyone's looking for the answers of why Winnipeg kind of tails off the way that they do. And that's one of the places that people have looked. And you don't know if that answer is there because you haven't had enough of a book of Connor Hellebuyck in the playoffs, seeing him succeed to see how any kind of tweaks that you do during the regular season would affect him. So Rick Bowness last year said what they were going to try and do is they weren't going to have him play less games. They were going to have the Jets play a style of hockey that got him more rest within games. The Jets are still doing that this year. Like even that game against the Kings, they lose it 4-1. One of them is an empty netter. One of them bounces off the player's skate. And then the Jets last year, I think I said this to you guys, of all the goalies that played a game in the NHL last year, Connor Hellebuyck was like 8th last on the list of how, like, the average shot that he faced. Like the Jets force teams that they're playing to shoot and shoot from distance. And a lot of times, some games you'll see when the Jets are on, 5 or 6 shots he faces out of 24 shots will be shots floated in from center ice, right? Like that's a lot. That's one of the things I think people don't don't give the Jets credit for this last number of years is they've made life a lot easier on Connor Hellebuyck. But Kyper, to kind of circle around and get back on your point to something that we were talking about earlier on, Four Nations Cup is coming. He's going to be their starting goaltender. And I know that the Jets are taking a lot into consideration in the idea that he's going to go, he's going to play in that tournament. That tournament is going to be like the playoffs for him. He's going to be wanting to throw everything he has in it. So if he does play 62, 65 games this year, and they add that onto the plate, that's not easy hockey. That's grinding hockey. So I can tell you this right now, the coaches for the Winnipeg Jets, they're aware of it, and they've got concerns about that. So they're going to try and build in rest for him into the season. The issue with Connor Hellebuyck is he going to let it happen? Because the way I see it, the way it's gone in the market for Connor Hellebuyck, whatever Connor Hellebuyck wants, Connor Hellebuyck gets. He kind of dictates how much he wants to play. And in the past, coaches, whether it be Paul Maurice or Rick Bowness or Scott Arniel now, they've all just kind of gone along with it. So I think this is just one of these things where you kind of got to grab a hold of something and go along for the ride.
Sean, look forward to seeing you tomorrow night on Hockey Night in Canada. As always, great stuff, man. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate it.
Sean Reynolds, Sportsnet reporter.
Traveling
Great
microphone.
job. Hockey Night in Canada.
That's incredible. He's got a suitcase with him, like a,
But it needs his own
to his
suitcase.
wrist.
Right?
Yeah, no kidding. Sabres just scored. They're all over the Canucks.
I know. They just hit the inside of the post on the first one, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. I mean, they are all over them. I think it was tied in shots 5 minutes ago. It's now 30-20 Sabres.
Also, the great future player for Team Canada, Macklin Celebrini, has scored again today.
8 goals for Celebrini in what, like 12 games or something?
And it was walked in over the red line and just beat a goalie clean, top corner.
His shot, man.
Yeah, he's kind of
guy's a
Bedard
player.
was. Kind of what we thought Bedard was.
Want to follow up, Mark Scheifele, a done deal for you for Team Canada?
I think that my co-host is worried about that. That's what I think. No, not you. You.
No.
I think you're worried about
I like Scheifele.
he's done deal if he's healthy, but
I like him.
But is he hurt?
He's practicing. I think he's fine, but he's not taking draws. So something's going on there.
Yeah.
I'm wondering.
Like making sure he gets picked.
Well, you got to think about it.
Like
like he's playing wing to be like, hey, I'm a winger?
Maybe he's
to be I was thinking
maybe he's staying in the lineup just to solidify.
Like, I'm fine, you can pick me. I'm fine, you can pick me. And then
like the last shot
in the lineup, and he's like, all right, I'm gonna take 2 weeks off.
Like, don't take me out of the lineup. I'm trying to prove I can play for Team Canada.
Yeah.
But
wow,
I got to think between Cooper and Armstrong and Sweeney there, they like somebody from Winnipeg would have said
he's fine.
He's either fine or is he? Do you need to see any more? I don't know.
I think you've seen enough from Scheifele. He's awesome, having an awesome year. Been a good Canadian player in the past.
I like Scheifele a lot.
Yeah. I wish he swore.
You want a little game time?
He doesn't swear.
Well, that's kind of a thing. I don't think he swears.
Really?
Yeah.
Can't trust somebody who doesn't swear.
That's kind of how I feel. I'd like him a lot more if he did. It's
actually, there's this. You guys ever feel how remarkable it is that how much we swear when we're doing like our chat before the show, or this amount of swearing that you do in your general life, and then this microphone comes on and you don't even Wow, you used to swear in our first year. You swore a few times.
That's because I was off for a year and a half, 2 years.
You're rusty.
You're dropping a few.
We were also looking for that air of authenticity. I think our first week, we had
F-bombs.
Steve Thomas. Just
Steve Thomas.
Who else dropped an F-bomb?
Al Iafredi.
But Al just was happy to do it. Like he wasn't like whoops. Yeah. Like Al was.
We're gonna get Big Al back on the show.
By the way, that might be one of our all-time interviews. He's talking about riding a motorbike naked in a trench coat, dropping F-bombs. I was like, what is our show?
He was on for 30 minutes.
He's awesome.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's great.
We'll get him in studio. You want to do game time now?
Yeah, just give me a second here. I don't want to make my...
Do you want to let that one go? Am I teeing you up the right way?
Let it rip.
Let it rip.
Hanging on, boys.
It's game time, presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. That's 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. So, yeah, Borny's been over here hammering away on the live bets.
Yeah.
So there's a couple games later this evening that are not underway already. And it is tonight. It's the Boston Bruins and the Pittsburgh Penguins. The Bruins are home, -170. just had a big win. They scored 6 goals, beat the Islanders, who are no good, but still they're starting to kind of win games again here after they fired their coach.
3 in a row or something?
No, I think they've won 3. Since they fired him, they've won 3 or 4, and now they're getting a layup here with Dubas's Penguins coming to town.
Yeah, but they're coming off a big win too, aren't they?
Yeah, they beat the.
Did they beat the Sharks?
No, they beat the Canucks in the second half of back-to-back with Artur Shilov's in net.
That one. Which they hung on for dear life. By the way.
They were up
5-4
5-1.
and
They were up
almost blew it.
5-1, and it went to. So give me the Boston Bruins tonight over the Pittsburgh Penguins. And looking on later, the Winnipeg Jets, who we just talked about with Shawnee there, they are in Vegas for a good one tonight. They're minus 115 on the road because they're good. They're 18-5, bud. They're a good team.
Golden Knights are 14-6.
I like the Winnipeg Jets minus 115 in that game. And the Edmonton Oilers back in. It's been a while since the Oilers have played a hockey game. They are in Utah to take on the Utah Hockey Club minus 160 on the road. Starts at 9 o'clock. tonight.
Oilers, to me, maybe the most dangerous in the team, most dangerous team in the league off the rush. Utah cannot contain a team.
Yeah, Leafs had the most odd man rushes they've had in a game. It felt like
so
in that
I think
one.
the Oilers light them up.
All right, that was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
Okay, let's take a breather here.
Text. Tell people to text.
Send us text 590-590 and we will respond to your text.
It's Friday. That's what we do. Back with Real Kyper and Bourne after these words. This hour, Real Kyper and Bourne, brought to you by Bet365 as we bring it home on this Friday. We're going to take text at 590-590. But before that, just a follow-up on the Four Nations tournament. And this is a February tournament. It's not a September tournament. Mm-hmm. So I was just envisioning, talking to Sean Reynolds about Connor Hellebuyck. He's on pace for 65 games again, and he's been that way for like the last 3 or 4 years. Just like what happens if he gets hurt? Like
they lose
any of them. Like Canada, USA, where if they're at each other's throats, do we expect that, or do we expect it to be somewhat tame?
I think
you're 6 weeks away from the playoffs. It's dangerous. It's a little dangerous for some markets.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes. This whole Leafs thing, the rebuild, the whatever. If Matthews or Marner has something happen, it's like, welp. They got no other plan but those guys scoring.
The thing is, when that's to me the scariest part of like from a promotion perspective of the Four Nations face-off, is that like is the juice worth the squeeze here? Where the Leafs are sending their 3 best players, Marner, Matthews, and Nylander, all playing in this event. And it's like, Marner got hurt, but boy, we won the inaugural Four Nations face-off didn't have Russia or Czechia or any other team. And
was that worth it?
I'm like, oh, what?
But if you're the NHL and a guy or two gets hurt, you don't care because you sold the Four Nations face-off for a lot of money, and most of the guys didn't get hurt.
I'm just saying, I've been thinking about that too, Kip. That thought has been crossing my mind a lot. And Matthews has been banged up. He's already flew to Germany. He's going to play in these extra games.
The owners right now looking at.
They get none of that, eh?
Well,
they got to get a kick.
No, you know what they're thinking of? They're thinking about the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup final be making $15 million a game.
Yeah.
They
want
Connor getting hurt.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's high risk given the timing in relation to the playoffs for sure. But yeah, you're right. I do wonder if that has some effect on desperation levels and guys selling out the same way, but probably not. Guys don't know really how to turn it off in an event like that. God, have you ever played? Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah.
Have you ever played just a shinny game and you're trying to decide how to divide up teams, bunch of pro guys, and you go, let's just do Canada, US, and it just ends up being 10 times more intense? It completely has changed skates I've been on when there's
I'm a lot older than you, so that
there wouldn't be any US team.
There wouldn't have been there would have been a lower number of availability.
In college, I went to an American college, so we had a lot of American players. So you split it up, and it's all of a sudden there's this extra juice in the game. You know?
Like, that's the thing. Like, oh, it's an exhibition. It's a warm-up for the Olympics. It's like the puck drops and it's Canada versus USA. Nothing matters. Like, these guys want to kill each other.
I covered the World Cup. I guess we called it World Cup.
2016?
Yeah. And that one just had nothing on the line. Really nothing.
And also it was like an offensively arranged thing with
it was one of my least favorite things to do.
Excellent Canada-Russia game in that though.
Listen, the kids were entertaining. There was some value on the entertainment, but not the feel that we should have in international play. I don't know where this Four Nations will fall into place here. I don't know, but I do know with the Olympics 2 years away and guys wanting to make a point of being on that team,
right?
That'll take it up automatically take it up a notch than what we saw in 2016.
Yeah, you're right. If you're a fringe guy and you lead Canada in scoring in this event, it's like next time we're going, do you know how good these guys are? Oh my God.
Right.
Oh,
Paige
what a
Thompson
save!
in overtime. Didn't go in.
Wow, what a save by Lankinen.
I gotta have a strong impression.
Yeah.
Right? Because I'm not playing just for Four Nations. I'm playing to
be on the Olympic team. Yeah.
Go to the Olympics.
Man.
So it'll be interesting.
It will be.
I really hope
All right, Sammy.
the Leafs don't get hurt.
You got some text for us there?
So this is a great question off the back of us talking about shinny hockey. Crystal from Stouffville, I'm going to assume that's a nice female texter, is
There
Nick.
it is. Vancouver wins.
Vancouver wins. Who scored?
Wow, they hung on.
Garland.
Little
Garland. Oh, this
On
guy.
an
Such a-
unbelievable
Garland had a great
Hughes-
block on an earlier goal.
Quinn Hughes made the play.
He's
made
such
the whole
a
play.
pesky son of a gun. Is Nick still skating with Eric Lindros's group? Who is considered the ringer of that group?
Cody Hodgson.
Cody Hodgson.
Oh my God, the guy's got it on a string there. I'm on his line.
I mean, last year he played professional hockey.
Like
I
he came
know.
back from
I know.
he came back from
Yeah.
not playing and then scored. He scored like 10 goals.
in the American League, yeah.
Yeah.
So
But a lot of my group is the Skatey 8s,
yeah,
88s.
I got to play them in a charity
Yeah.
event.
Oh,
It was
yeah?
really fun playing
Yeah.
with a bunch of sales guys. With them doing a
Johnny.
3-touch breakout.
yeah.
Kevin Shire is a unbelievable hockey. I'm like, I have no business being out there, and I play pro.
There's one guy that we played against that was like had the long hair, mutant, just flying up and down the ice. I don't know what his name was, but God, he was good. Johnny.
This is the second time we've brought up Johnny, and every time I go in on Thursday mornings, it's like he's like a newfound celebrity.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's Sammy McKee on steroids. Famous now.
All right. So this is a text here because we were talking about the Flames jersey. What is the best logo in the best jersey in the league and the worst logo in the worst jersey in the league?
This is your department, not Kip's.
Kip's going to have an opinion on
I'm
this.
starting to come in my old age over to the jersey side, I guess.
All right.
Yeah. So you go ahead.
So
Answer.
you don't care? So you don't care, or you
I'm
do
jumping
care?
in. I'm jumping in.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think the best jersey in the league and the best logo in the league is the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's the best jersey. It's the best logo.
Just
Sorry.
Homer.
I love it. It's beautiful.
I mean, I have it up there for sure,
It's
too. I
beautiful.
mean, I'm an original 6 guy.
Yeah,
like, I think the
blue's
Boston Bruins.
fantastic. The blue's
It's
fantastic.
such a nice color of blue. It's a
It is.
great
Yes.
classic logo, great
Yeah.
history behind it. Like the whole thing, it's a beautiful old logo.
I don't think,
love it.
maybe just because it's like Chicago Blackhawks, a proper Blackhawks jersey. is
Yep.
Very
Beautiful.
nice.
Yeah.
Canadians, obviously, got to give them love. That's a
Guys, I'll
great
go with
sweater.
my first original NHL jersey I've ever put on, the Washington Capitals.
Really?
Yeah, I
Yes,
love the one. I
do.
love that one
think-
too. That's
I think
a gorgeous
it
sweater.
so represents DC,
Yeah,
right?
But their
very clean.
original ones are extremely nice. Don't get me wrong. But the ones that they've been wearing since the lockout, that's got like all the
Yeah,
piping on it.
well,
Like they tried to redo
Right. The
the
third
original.
they wear is nice.
Like we have one over there of like the actual one that you used to wear, which is, I agree,
Yes.
gorgeous jersey. But their
Okay,
new
so
ones
when
are
they
not very good.
the eagle, the big flying eagle,
Yeah,
that,
Screaming Eagle.
I don't mind that one,
No,
but
I
it's
don't
a
like
little
it at all.
hokey.
Um.
The worst?
So yeah, worst. I think Columbus. Could you do worse with better? Like those colors
Yeah.
are iconic.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can make a worse
Yeah, it's
jersey
not
than
great.
Columbus had with what they're working with.
I think the Ducks
Oh, the Ducks
The,
oranges this year.
The Ducks
Vile.
rebrand this year
Ugh.
may be the worst jersey in the history of the league.
Oh
like
my
it's
God.
so bad. It's like just do the purple one. The purple one was great.
Yeah.
Do
The
that.
eggplant was so nice.
Why do
Well,
the
it's
orange?
It's
fine.
right.
It's
like
awful.
maybe because Trump got in,
Is that what it is? It's the orange.
right? Because
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
it's his hair color.
Yeah, that's what it is. In honor of, I will say the logo thing, the Whalers logo that you guys had probably
Yeah.
goes down as the all-time best logo.
Mm-hmm.
Use of negative space is really good. I guess the Habs have that going on too.
Carolina Hurricanes.
Not a good sweater.
That's all right.
Yeah.
You think it's one of the worst?
And I'm not just saying
Not a
this.
huge fan of it.
I love the Islanders sweater too, and that's probably just a lot of my upbringing. But
That is a record that I've ever spent that much time talking about.
thank you for your time. University of
Jerseys.
Alaska Anchorage, beautiful sweater.
And we're watching one here right now with the Detroit Red Wings, who are on the brink of losing yet again. Their logo is amazing. I think the rest of their jersey, like it's very plain, it's fine, but like their logo on its own is a really spectacular.
Got some proper.
Well, listen,
detail.
if I don't know the actor's name, can wear it for 2.5 hours on Ferris Bueller's Day Off.
Yeah.
then
Cameron.
Cameron,
can wear the Gordie Howe red away jersey
Very nice.
at the time.
Yeah.
Darks were away.
What's this guy?
Which it still should be.
What's that?
Well, he had that actor
Yeah.
was obviously phenomenal in that. Like I truly think one of
Yeah.
the best movie characters ever, Cameron, in that. But he came back around
Succession.
and was so good in Succession to the point that I didn't even know it was him.
Everybody was.
Oh, I mean,
I picked him out right away.
That was one of the greatest shows ever. But
I think it's a shame none of us know that actor.
I'm embarrassed.
I'm weird that way too. I can pick somebody that's like 100 years old and go,
What's his
hey,
Alan Ruck.
Alan Ruck, that sounds right. Does Alan Ruck shoot left or right, Kevin? Hey, boys, from Jeremy and Meaford, a longtime texter. If the NHL expanded by one team, what city would you like to go get it the most?
Newmarket.
well, does it count if I say you got to go back to Arizona?
Oh,
what? God.
But
Can
I'm
we just-
telling you.
Hey, Austin, can you play the
Scottsdale-
sound? Can we end the show?
Scottsdale, Arizona
Oh, my God.
has to be back on the NHL radar. I'm sorry, but
Now, is this because of the market, the TV market, the size, the
all
population?
of it,
Yeah.
all of it. And it's a destination point. Everybody wants to go there for 3 days. It's not gambling like Vegas, but it's nice restaurants, golf for 3 days. Hey,
You want
a
me
nice-
to go back to my
hey,
ex
book a
after she did that to me?
massage. Book a massage.
How do you go back to that place? It's
No, you
just
can.
been terrible.
You just
It's
got to
been
go
a
to
nightmare.
Scottsdale. There's tons of money there
I don't
too.
disagree, for the record. Like I
Just
lived there
they
long
made-
enough to see that
they
it's
made
a
them.
great spot.
They made the same mistake as Ottawa did.
built outside of where it should be.
Yes. You just got to nail the spot because nobody's driving out there to Glendale
I
an
lived
hour plus.
Getting
I lived
around
there
there
for
is-
3 years, and I maybe went to 3 or 4 games. 'Cause
During
it was
the
like,
week.
I can't even have a beer because you got to drive back on the highway for.
It's I went there for a bachelor party a couple years ago. It's hard to get around. Like you're driving,
Oh, buddy,
or you're
it's-
not going
it's
anywhere.
out there.
It's just expansive. Everywhere is far.
They got
So,
room to go out. Here
Put-
in Toronto, it's
yeah.
up. They go out.
Put it in Old Town Scottsdale. You'd have a pretty good attendance.
What do you think of like Houston? I guess everybody's all over Houston.
Give me the
Same
hammer,
thing,
baby.
It's just a
Go to the
big city,
hammer.
right? Is it the 4th biggest city in the U.S.? Like, you hate to not be represented there as a major sports league. So,
Hammer.
Hamilton?
Yeah, baby.
Hamilton or Houston? Tough call
Hamilton.
for Gary Bettman.
Have you seen the Canadian dollar lately?
Oh my God, I have.
Do you know
Actually, I
how
didn't.
much money you need to generate to pay 100 and what will be like $140 million salary cap
It went
next
down
year
to 70
in
cents on the
Canada?
US
Yeah,
dollar.
Think about that.
Borny
70
broke that news
now.
to me today. I was like, oh, it's bad. Upcoming trip to Detroit. It's not feeling this good.
Yeah, you're not going to shop in Buffalo this year.
Hey, this is from Matt and Barry. Hey, why isn't anyone talking about Joey Decord in Seattle as the goalie for Canada?
Okay, has that been
9-6
figured out?
916 save percent. He was 922 before his last start on a non-playoff team, and he also had a 916 last year. American born, but his dad is Canadian, so he has eligibility to play.
Has he got the Brett Hall thing? Because Brett Hall was like, Canada didn't want him, so he played his U.S.
Yeah, I mean,
status, and then he went and played
yeah.
the rest of his career with the
I mean,
U.S.
Joey played last 2 years in the AHL. Last year, he was the first year he played and had a great season in the NHL. I think part of it is that people don't think of him as like a great NHL goalie at 28. But sure, he's put together, what now looks like 2 good seasons in a row. I don't know.
The standard we're going by here for Canada is
pretty low.
Yeah. Anyways, that was an interesting one. I hadn't really thought of that, but he's American-born.
I would love to hear from him if he considers himself American or Canadian. That matters to me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
If he's like, yeah, I'm a Canadian. Yeah. So you're right. This one's
Is he the number one goalie in Seattle, by the way? Because they got a guy that's supposed to be making.
Last year.
They got a guy that's making over $6 million right now.
I just saw that they had 6 goals against them in the Sharks. Hopefully that's not for our boy.
Like Grubauer?
Grubauer.
Yeah,
881 this year in his 7 starts. Meanwhile, Decord's 916 in his 16 starts.
Guess who the number one goalie is?
Yeah. McGrubauer.
This is a North Bay text, Kyper. The Bullard family wanted to say hello to you.
Oh.
So there you go.
There you go.
I don't know if that means
the Bay.
To you. Oh, yeah.
How far is North Bay from here?
It's 3.5 hours, about 360 kilometers, 380.
Yeah. I failed.
Used to be like
in
my day, my parents used to go up and watch me like in a single lane highway, and it'd be like whiteouts.
Yeah, that's scary.
Scary.
Yeah, that road, like the 400 in the winter, and then it turns into Highway 11 there. That is a greasy road in the winter, boy. It's not great.
Take your time, everybody. All winter.
Last one. Bruce from Midland, Buffalo. Please tell me what's wrong with my team, please. Well, Bruce, they're not that bad.
No.
Pretty close to a playoff spot. Just got a point against the Canucks today.
Yeah.
You got pretty high standards as a Buffalo fan.
I know those guys got paid. I know those guys got paid, especially on the blue line between Darlene and Owen Power. But they're still trying to figure it out, buddy. That's the problem, is that they have not learned how to defend.
Owen Power was a number 1 overall pick. 6'6". Give him a minute, right?
They're learning. And you hope this might be a good year where it kind of turns over once you get, how many games has he got under his belt?
He's got 185.
85. So if he gets to 200, 2+, you hope he's settling in.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know where his high end is going to be, Owen Power.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Like, he's had 35 points in the league as a 21-year-old.
Can he be Hedman? Can he be a Hedman?
I actually think he can. Maybe that's. Hedman is really high praise. That's Hall of Fame.
I know, but
first ballot.
Hedman struggled. He wasn't
slow start.
He had a slow start too.
Yeah, and I think this kid has shown the offensive upside that Hedman has. He learned to defend a bit. Somehow he's plus 22 for the Buffalo Sabres over the past 3 years combined.
It's impressive.
That team has not been a great defensive outlet, so he's doing something right.
All right, that's all good for text boys. You do any Black Friday shopping today, fellas?
Yeah, I was doing a little before we came on air.
I perused.
My birthday is next month, and Christmas is. People get mad at me if I buy stuff now.
What's the date on your birthday?
Don't worry about it.
Well, yeah, Borny's lovely wife Bree has texted me multiple times on his birthday, being like, "It's his birthday. Make sure he says it's his birthday because he doesn't bring it up." So we got to make sure you guys don't forget it.
Like you
forgot
kids
mine.
that got ripped off with the same present.
I think I doubt. I think I'm far enough away. I'm a couple weeks away from.
Did you? Oh, you are. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Shout out one of my best buddies in the world, Mike Snyder. His birthday was Christmas Day.
Yeah,
it's a tough one.
Now he got screwed.
Yeah, it's brutal. But it was always great because we would go over there for his birthday.
Yeah.
On Christmas, so I would have the escape from my family. Like we go to his place on Christmas, aka we go for his birthday.
Yeah.
Call him happy birthday.
You kind of a joke. Half birthday thing. I've seen people do that.
But it's tough.
When they do a birthday or something.
Anyways, there you go. So
all right,
no shopping.
So we get a Leafs game this weekend, which is at long last merciful. And we got the Canucks are done. What do we got for Canadian teams tonight?
And we got the Edmonton Oilers in Utah. And it's been a while since they've played a game.
Jets and Golden Knights.
Yeah.
What do you got on that one? Jets?
No, I got Golden Knights and I got Edmonton and Utah.
Really?
Yeah. Golden Knights are a good team, man.
I like them a lot. My second favorite team.
Winnipeg needs to trade for a big defenseman. They're just not.
But they already have the biggest one. Wasn't that Logan Stanley?
He's not ready,
6'10"?
though. He's not ready. I'm talking about a big one that can play 20.
What about Yanni
minutes.
Hakanpää?
You got a new knee for him?
Yeah. Maybe.
He's not in, is he, for the Leafs?
He's still out.
I want that guy's schedule.
Berube just said
Once a
that
month.
he likes the decor now. So,
All right.
we'll see. Anyways, good week, boys.
Really good
fellas.
week. Our thanks to Sean Reynolds at the top of this hour, and then in our Leaf edition, JD Bunkis. Thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of the day of your hockey game that's currently being played right now, right into tonight. And then we're back on Monday.
See you Monday.
Have a great weekend, everybody.